Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, California Weather Watch. Today is November 19th, and right now we're looking at the infrared/visible satellite imagery. You can see the strong storm out over the Pacific Ocean. This will not affect California directly, maybe a little bit of light precipitation as this comes as a decaying front across the Pacific Northwest into California. But the big weather story unfolding right now is the high pressure building over the Great Basin. We're going to have some strong offshore winds going for the next couple of days. We'll take a look at those details, and we've already got some strong north and northwest winds coming down across the area. Got some high wind warnings up. We got wind advisories out there, and we'll take a look at this as we go through the video here today. Look at the wind advisory out there for Upper Lake, Lakeport, Clear Lake, and Middletown. Gust to 50. This goes through 10 a.m. Monday here, and this is the peak wind gust Monday. The Santa Ana wind event will get rolling. Look at Riverside, 53 miles per hour. Pretty typical locations here for Santa Ana wind event here, but look at these local gusts, 55 to 75 miles per hour. Continuing on Tuesday, but probably Monday, tomorrow, the day with the biggest wind gusts. November 19th, this day in SoCal weather history. Check out Big Bear Lake, -15. And we'll take a look at that weather map here in a moment. And you can also see 1967, some big rainfall in the mountains above Los Angeles out there. Flooding was called the worst since 1934. Take a look at that upper level trough back in 1964 that brought those very cold conditions, kind of perfectly centered on Los Angeles here. Just thought you guys might like to see that upper level map as this polar lobe came and just included much of the state of California there way back in 1964. Looking at the current hazards, you can see the wind advisories that are up right now across a lot of the desert areas, Nevada, and the high wind warnings across a lot of Southern California. Santa Ana winds, strong north winds coming down across the region as well. And you can see these big wind gusts on in through tonight. Look at Big Pine Mountain, 60, Pyramid Lake, 52, including some of the I-5 corridor here as well. And then we're going to turn these offshore over the next couple of days, and the strong northeast Santa Ana winds will be blowing. Taking a look at the wind advisories, just a heads up, Las Vegas, some of the desert areas out there, you can see Death Valley National Park. We're going to be dealing with this wind all the way in through tomorrow night, and some of that could be extended out a little bit further here. Also, we'll make sure to revisit that again tomorrow morning. Looking at 500 millibars, this is 18,000 feet, and this is the system that went through here. And then you can clearly see the ridge replacing it, and this high pressure is really what's driving those strong offshore winds across the state of California. And as we extend out here, this ridge might be around for a bit. We'll revisit this again tomorrow as you can see something trying to open up here on the west coast as we go through later on in the week. But take that with a grain of salt at this point right now. We're going to revisit that tomorrow. This is looking at the mean sea level pressure here. So this is the surface, and you can see it as we go on in through tonight into early tomorrow. Look at that high pressure system there, and you can imagine this has to push out across the lower terrain there. And as it does, it warms, compresses, and dries out as it pushes these winds out towards the coastal areas there. Typical Santa Ana wind, actually classical Santa Ana wind setting up. Looking at 80-meter wind speed, this is an AM3 KM. This is hot off the presses as well, the 18Z. And you can see the strong north wind as we go through this evening and overnight tonight. And then you can see it just shift offshore by the time we get to the early morning hours tomorrow. Santa Ana winds start blowing. You can see these blowing all the way out over the ocean there. Look across the Sierra Nevada, all the way up through the northern Sierra Nevada as well. Some strong wind gusts here coming, especially for the higher terrain across the desert areas, Nevada, even into western Arizona, and including southwest Utah here as well, St. George also. Now, if we look here, the relative humidity, I want to point this out. As you can see, typical dry conditions across some of the desert areas, but watch as these winds start to blow tomorrow morning. You can clearly see that dry air just come out over Southern California here and out over the open ocean there as well. So interesting stuff. Santa Ana winds are extremely dry winds. Taking a look at Los Angeles, California, you can see a little bump in temperature here as we go through Tuesday, Wednesday, then towards average, maybe a little bit below average here as we go through this week incoming here. And the red line is the average temperature this time of year for Los Angeles, California, 71 here about November 18th and 19th, and kind of trailing off here into the upper 60s by the time you get to early December. This is Bakersfield again with the average temperature there, kind of dropping back down towards average as we go through later this week, but a few days of above average here as we go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And looking here for Phoenix, you can see very comfortable this time of year, 75, dropping down to around the low, no, that's actually to the upper 60s, isn't it? Yeah, check it out. Upper 60s. Very nice temperatures out there. Great time to be down in Arizona. Taking a look at Las Vegas, Nevada, you can see some below average temperatures coming here as we go through the weekend upcoming here. And the average temperature is about 64 and then dropping off to the upper 50s as you get towards actually the end of November into the early portion of December. Here's Sacramento, something similar, hanging around average here, and maybe an above average Thanksgiving here coming up. Now, looking at the accumulated 10-meter max wind gusts, is the entire state of California there, and there's Nevada and Arizona, strong winds already blowing out of the north and northwest across the higher terrain. Then you can really see some of these big gusts ripping across Southern California here. I mean, so the NAM showing in excess of potentially 75 miles per hour with some of these gusts here. Pretty strong Santa Ana wind event incoming, and a lot of these winds are going to be offshore here across the Sierra Nevada as well. Heads up if you were off in the back country for that. Now, looking at Riverside, check out some of these gusts with those northeast winds clocking out at 59 miles per hour. This would be about 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, but you can see these winds really start picking up here as we go through tonight. I'm doing this briefing here about 5:45, and yeah, it's going to start picking up tonight there and really peak early tomorrow morning and continue on to be pretty blustery through the day tomorrow. This is looking at 5,000 feet, so something interesting here. You can see this cold air move over the interior there, so it's a pretty cold air mass out there. It's actually kind of an Arctic air mass, but as it pushes out across the terrain and warms and compresses and heats and dries out towards the coastline, you can see it is fairly warm by the time it reaches some of Southern California. So kind of an interesting feature there with the Santa Ana winds as we go on into about Tuesday morning there. And by Tuesday, the winds are going to be, they're going to be starting to weaken here across a lot of the state of California. Again, tomorrow, Monday, should be the biggest and windiest day. Taking a look at the 6 to 10 day precipitation probability outlook. Look at the Northwest is just bullseye here, November 25th through the 29th. And that does include some of California and Nevada, kind of up in the air when the next storm track is going to make its way back towards the western portion of the USA. But we'll be watching that closely. Things can change fast this time of year. And look at the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. Basically every place in the USA except portions of Florida above average. And you see that cold Arctic air mass dropping down across the region. But yeah, anyway, I put off my video until this afternoon tonight. I was on the Washington coast yesterday watching the wind and the showers roll through and some big waves on the coastline there. I'll try to get some pictures out here eventually on Twitter or whatnot. There's actually some people surfing on the Washington coast here this morning also. So that's why the video is coming out late here today. I will put out my normal briefings again tomorrow. Hope you guys are liking these videos. Get ready for the big winds coming across the area, and I will talk to you guys then.